Speaker is Gosia Kung. Gosia was born in Krakow, Poland, where she received a degree in architecture and urban design from the University of Technology in 1996. Her passion for urban design and sustainable city planning is well grounded in the historic context of European towns and enriched by her experience and practice as a practicing architect in the U.S. for the last 16 years. Gosia is the principal and owner of KUNGarchitecture and the founder of WalkDenver, a nonprofit organization focused on education and implementation of quality, walkable built environments that foster healthy lifestyles and economic growth. Gosia will open our session discussing better blocks, neighborhood development. Gosia.
I'm going to try to detach from this because I'm going to be talking about walking and walkability, and I read somewhere that if you're really nervous about public speaking, like I am, if you walk, that helps, so I see that works. I want to tell you just a few words about WalkDenver and who we are and what we do, and most importantly, why we do it. And this is why. So just looking at those pictures, I think everybody intuitively can respond to the question, how far will you walk? The numbers there are supported by research, but I think we all are inclined to walk in a high-quality built environment, whereas in the environment that was designed for cars, we're really not safe and not comfortable walking. So what does it mean? Why is it important? I think the most important and kind of straightforward argument is about physical health. I mean, we all talk about obesity and diabetes and all the issues that are associated with that. So walking is a great way to just incorporate exercise into everyday lifestyle. Why does it matter? Well, for me, the difference between that first picture, that's my hometown. When I grew up, I didn't drive at all, and I moved to an environment that's similar to the one in that last picture. The difference is 20 pounds. So that's why it's important to me. I want to lose weight. But also expanding on the definition of public health and going beyond physical health, going to mental health. We often talk about depression and anxiety, how it affects our productivity at work, and children at school, deficiency and disorders. All these problems can be treated with moderate exercise. So living in a place that is walkable can affect our mental health and our productivity. We all know about implications to our environmental health. If we walk, we drive less pollution. That's good for our lungs and other parts of our body. Economic implications of walkable environment are also pretty obvious. I think if you look at these pictures, the small businesses are much more likely to thrive in an environment that's more pedestrian friendly, whereas those solely car-oriented environments are not as conducive. So now that we know why, I decided to start WalkDenver, and we're a non-profit organization that focuses on promoting walkable built environment. And our slogan is, people are pedestrians by design. And it's a reaction to a comment that we often hear from transportation engineers, that walking is alternative mode of transportation. And alternative to what? So what can we do about it? We cannot rebuild entire Denver or entire Colorado. We can start maybe with one block at a time. So we found a block that we thought had some really good potential. It's not far from here, on the other side of Federal at 25th. The road on the left is Federal, on the right it's Elliott. It's 25th Avenue if you're familiar with the area. Safeway is just one block north from there. We formed a team of non-profit organizations, WalkDenver, Jefferson Park, United Neighbors, who were our host organization, Groundwork Denver, and Federal Boulevard Partnership. And we thought that we're gonna make this block better. And it's really a good block. What's interesting about it is this is the original transit-oriented development. The streetcar used to go through there. So the buildings are built to property line, they're two-story, there's a little more density, the sidewalks are wider, but there are challenges there. This is kind of a good perspective of the block. The other side, as you go towards Federal, is not as good. There's also a lot of commercial vacancies, and there's not much activation in terms of pedestrian amenities on that block. So we created a plan, and it focused on two aspects of what can be done there. It was activation of the vacant storefronts, and that included pop-up businesses. We pretty much filled them up with businesses for one day, and we had a restaurant, an art gallery, a bike shop, and a little pet shop also. And also we included public infrastructure improvements, and that included trees and benches and planters, public art, as well as outdoor seating and outdoor cafes. There are two important decisions that we made in the process of planning that event. One was not to close the street. The city really wanted us to close the street. They said, well, if you close it, you can do whatever you want. And we said, we don't want to do whatever we want. We want to demonstrate what a complete street could look like. And we really want this transformation to be sustainable and true to this area. Therefore, we want the cars to be able to pass through and be a part of what happens there every day. The second decision was not to provide parking, first of all, because it's against everything we stand for as a WalkDenver, but also we felt that we wanted to see what happens if we bring a significant number of population to the area. And then we planned for around 1,500 to 2,000 people. What happens if this many people actually show up there? And this is what happened. So we painted the street, we painted the intersection. There were concerns from Public Works about safety. They felt that this was going to be an obstacle. People were going to get killed because the drivers were going to be distracted. What actually happened was, but by incorporating public art into this public right-of-way, we kind of increased the spatial awareness. So people paid more attention to what they're doing, where they are, both cars and people on foot. So the intersection actually became safer and more activated. And this is what happened on the street. We had about 1,500 people show up. Some people drove, some people biked, some people walked. We were asking for their input on what this change, what they feel about that change and what could be permanent. Not a single person mentioned parking, so that was a huge aha moment. It turns out that you can have 1,500 people on this block and there's no additional parking needed. And it also turns out that if you build it, they will come. So despite a 104-degree heat, we had significant attendance. We also had a lot of city officials that showed up. You can see Susan Shepard, our council woman, District 1, Mayor Hancock, Office of Economic Development. A lot of planners came. That was kind of one of our target population saying, you know, it can be done. It's okay. The trees and the flowers, actually, this kind of transformation will bring more people, more population to the area. And also a lot of neighbors showed up, so that was great. I'm going to just see, I'm trying to play the video.
I think the purpose of Better Block project was to really demonstrate to the neighborhood residents and businesses, give them a real good idea of what this block or this area could become.
control your destiny. Saying, real people want to step up and market area. Real people want to bring a better block to our neighborhood. It's exactly what neighborhoods always have to do.
This has never been done in Denver. What we're trying to do here is more community being a part of really creating this environment and being proactive and reaching out to businesses and the types of development that we would like to see here. What do we want this area to become? And rather than the change happen to us, be a proactive part and proactively contribute to this change. The Better Block project has really been a fun project to work on.
We were able to demonstrate the impact of having trees, planters, seating areas, and sidewalk cafes.
We've given 50 bikes away to approximately 40 different families.
People want to be in a place where they can see and visit other people.
We want to see more retail, we want to see neighborhood retail, we want to see local businesses.
It's like a living art project, so it's a way for people to really see how something can look. If you can get those people together and you can get them to do a better block and put this effort in, then you have this amazing demonstration of a future that I think we all want.
We had about 200 volunteers work on a project, estimated 3,000 hours. So that's how you lose weight. That's kind of the other part of this conversation. One last slide. How sustainable is this change? During the time that we worked on that project, and it took about 8 months to put that event together, and it started with an outreach and it translated into demonstration, and we're now following up with implementation. We have just applied for a CDBG grant to actually make those improvements permanent on 25th Avenue. But what happened in the community is also interesting. So during that 8 months, we had a new artist move to the area. The Granada Theater that's been vacant for years has been undergoing a renovation. Somebody's turning it into residence and to retail spaces. There were multiple inquiries about those vacant spaces. The list goes on, and it's interesting the engagement of the community. Since then, the neighbors organized 2 concerts in the park and also a family night dinner, and I can probably say I had nothing to do with that. And what we're hoping to achieve really is develop this kind of neighborhood revitalization project that would touch neighborhoods in strategic locations and start with this outreach and engagement and developing a vision for the community, and then getting people engaged into demonstrating that vision. Actually putting it together takes a lot of effort, and people get invested in it, so they start caring about it, and they also learn a lot of skill. They learn how to work together, they learn how to be resourceful in many ways. And then also the last step is the implementation, so hopefully that applying for funding that would cause the public right-of-way space to transform into more pedestrian environment.